Okay, it's time for more trials and titulations. So, brief recap. We went to a temple. Phoenix and Maya went to a temple so Maya could do some training. There they met a picture book author named Elise Donham. They met a girl named Iris that looks suspiciously like Dahlia Hawthorne. And over the course of the day, or rather that evening, Elise Donham was found murdered. Iris is the main suspect. Phoenix tried to go to the inner temple after the bridge got hit by lightning, fell through it, got a very nasty cold by landing in the water, so he's in the hospital. And because of that, Edgeworth has been called in to take the role of the defense attorney. And also, Godot can't be reached. They tried reaching him to show up, but people think that because Phoenix is in the hospital, he lost all interest in taking the case. So anyway, we did the first day of investigations. Larry's here for some reason, and we're about to go to the first trial day of Bridge to the Turnabout. February 9th, 9:47 a.m., District Court, Defendant Lobby, number 1. Oh my, Mr. Larice feels that way about me? Apparently, he isn't aware of your real secret at all. This is no time to be embarrassed. I'm sorry. I'm just hardly accustomed to that sort of thing. For me, I'd be spamming Ace Attorney Investigations music in this section. Yeah, but Ace Attorney Investigations didn't come out yet. Sadly, you cannot, yeah. Also, I wouldn't be able to play it and have it sound natural with the... Oh, actually, no, I could. Because I could lower the BGM volume. I don't have Ace Attorney 1 Investigations 1 music on here, though. I have Investigations 2 music. But I'd rather not, just because the music is used to great effect in this case anyway. It's this game's last hurrah. Worry not, and in any case, whatever it was that he saw on the night of the incident, mark my words, I will drag it out of him. Does that mean Mr. Larice is the witness today? No. I believe that none will be the first to take the stand. Sister Bikini. Yeah, but you wouldn't know when to turn on pursuit music and such. Yeah, that's true as well. She also claims to have seen the very instant in which you carried out the crime. I just want to ask you one last time. It really wasn't you who killed Miss Elise Donham, was it? That is correct. It wasn't me. Very well, then. Mr. Edgeworth? Yes? You're a prosecutor, aren't you? Are you sure about this? If your true identity is revealed... Don't worry, I've made the necessary arrangements. I see. Iris, it's a prosecutor's job to doubt people. But right now, I am a defense attorney. A defense attorney's job is to believe in people, and to believe until the bitter end. That's what my friend once told me. Mr. Edgeworth, I simply ask that you watch and decide for yourself whether or not I am fit to do the task I have been entrusted. Very well, sir. I leave my defense in your capable hands. February 9th, 10 a.m., District Court, Courtroom number 7. It's so weird with only just Edgeworth there. Court is now in session for the trial of Sister Iris of Hazakura Temple. The defense is ready, Your Honor. The defense does appear to be ready. However, the same cannot be said for the prosecution in this case. Indeed. I'm not sure I like such a blatant waste of this court's time. An empty prosecutor's chair can only mean that the prosecutor has no confidence in their ability to prove their case. It would seem this case is already over before it had a chance to begin. I am ready to announce my verdict at this time. This court finds the defendant.
Objection!
The prosecution stands ready. And you are? Franziska von Karma, prosecuting prodigy. Von Karma, you say? Perchance you wouldn't happen to be of any relation to the legendary prosecutor Manfred von Karma. Does court seriously work that way? No. Legends are a thing of the past. I am a von Karma. That is all. Upon special request, I flew in for the purposes of prosecuting this case. You did? Then you must be quite a big shot, eh? By the way, Mr. Edgeworth. Yes, Your Honor. I'm almost certain that I've seen you somewhere before. Or am I just imagining things? You look very much like a prosecutor I met once. I believe you are imagining things, Your Honor. Miss Von Karma, do you have anything to say? There is no such weakling as this man among those of the prosecutor's office. There isn't? But I'm sure once before in this courtroom... Ah! I told you, there's no such weakling. What is that, a whip? I'm not sure if I care for such a thing in my courtroom. Bailiff, remove that whip at... Hold it! There's our first non-standard hold it. I have no objection to the whip. You don't? The prosecution can wield a whip or drink 17 cups of coffee. But there's still only one truth. That is what I stand here to prove today. This promises to be interesting, Miles Edgeworth. I'd expected to face Phoenix Wright here today. But looking at you now, maybe this is what I've been waiting for all this time. Miles Edgeworth, I will not allow this chance to crush you slip through my fingers. I like how they even drew the attorney's badge on him. I see you bought your fare for the histrionic. They drew the defense attorney badge on his lapel. I'm going to add to the things I'm not sure about. People acting bizarrely in my court. Ah! The stage is set. Now continue with the proceedings, Your Honor. It's funny, too, because, like, the second Gumshoe's like, yeah, Godot is not... no one can reach Godot. Edgeworth's like, oh, don't worry, I already called someone. It's like, what? How did you call Franziska in the middle of that conversation without us knowing? We had our chance, but no. Nope, the whip stays. Very well, Miss Von Karma, please give an outline of this case. With as little whipping as possible. The murder victim is the famed picture book author, Miss Elise Donham. Her body was found in the Hazakura Temple courtyard. She had been stabbed to the torso by a ceremonial sword from a golden statue. By text, email, yeah, I guess. Yo, Franziska, you want to crush Phoenix? The sword in the picture is this weapon in question, correct? Very well, the court accepts this photo of the crime scene. Courtyard where Elise Donham was murdered. There's no mistake, this was the doing of Sister Iris. After all, there's a witness to her crime. Very well. Please bring this witness to the stand. And so it begins. My first and last trial. As a defense attorney. Witness, state your name and occupation, please. Hold on there. I'm not so sure about being not sure if I care. I'm not sure about being not sure if I care for this at all. Witness, please stand up nice and straight. Last Yeah. Well, it's his first and only time as a defense attorney. If I recall correctly, there are a few dozen milk crates in the defendant's lobby for our back pain-plagued witness. Bailiff, fetch a crate for this poor lady, please. Once again, your name and occupation, please. Little old me? Well, I'm the head nun of Hazakura Temple on Eagle Mountain. My name is Bikini. You got it? Bikini. Nice to meet everyone. But you don't appear to be wearing a bikini right now. Ah! The courtroom is the garden of holy judgment. Those with lechery in their hearts should leave the sanctuary at once. You want me to leave? No need to get your bikinis in a twist. Let me tell you, I'm a sight to behold in the summer. In any case, witness, I hear that you saw the crime take place on the night in question. That's right. I can still hardly believe it myself, to be honest. There's no way dear Iris could ever do anything like that. Let's hear what you have to say, then. First, tell us about your own movements that night, eh? Like, they clearly make... Why is he Canadian? Why is he the judge's brother? He's the judge's younger brother. And the judge isn't Canadian, but he is. It's bizarre. Night of the murder. That night, I was helping an acolyte with her training in the inner temple, but... Well, as you can see, my back likes to act up violently. So I left Iris to help the acolyte and returned to Hazakura Temple. There's no bath at the inner temple, you see, and I needed a long hot soak. Hours after I had finished, just as I was heading back. That's when I saw it. So it was simply coincidence that you found yourself returning to Hazakura Temple? Yes, you could say that. If my back hadn't been in so much pain, I would have stayed at the inner temple. That sounds like a pretty important statement she just made. There's only one problem I can see with this testimony. And you're not about to fall at the first hurdle, are you now, Mr. Edgeworth? Miles Edgeworth? Mr. Miles Edgeworth? Mr. Edgeworth, please begin your cross-examination. It's like dipping into Irish accent. Just fucking it up completely.
Hold it!
What is this inner temple? Well, see, conversing with the spirits is what we trained people to do, right? We'll be the ones asking you the questions, madam. In order to do that, a place strong in spiritual power is required. There's a small temple across Dusky Bridge called the Inner Temple. Acolytes must spend an entire night there to undergo intense training. And how exactly do you help with this process? It's all quite exacting. Can't be performed without a nun supervising. Like a tutor watching to make sure a spoiled child studies. A tutor with a whip in your case. If that is the case, then why did you return to Hazakura Temple where the murder took place?
Hold it!
Violently? That's right, it's no laughing matter, especially in the winter. I can't hold anything heavier than a knife and fork during the cold months. Just being alive is like strict training. On the night of the murder, was this fabulous back of yours hurting again? That's right, raging like a bull in a pig pen. I almost fainted once or twice. I just knew that unless I warmed it up, it was going to finally finish me off.
Hold it!
You left Iris to help. With what? What do you think? The Acolyte's training, of course. It was just past 10 p.m., so we were starting to enter the training exercises proper. Wasn't it your place to remain with the disciple? Well, the job is simply to watch over the Acolytes so they don't pass away. Just to confirm this point again, that night, you met Iris in the Inner Temple, correct? Yes, of course. She's an honest, gentle girl. She never once failed to follow my directions.
Hold it!
So you returned to the Hazakura Temple in order to take a bath? My back is to blame for everything. It's a do-or-be-done-in kind of world, after all. How long were you in the bath for, if you don't mind me asking? My, what a filthy little rogue you are! I know what's on your mind. I bet your next question is going to be, where exactly did you wash? Ah, this is why you have to watch the young ones. What are you going on about? I was... Pathetic, Miles Edgeworth. The lowest of the low. Is there some sort of kick-me sign stuck to the defense's bench? Yes, actually, there is. Anyway, I couldn't afford to be away from my post for too long, so you understand, so...
Hold it!
The crime took place in the courtyard, correct? When you go from my room to the main hall, you have to take a winding hallway from which you could see the courtyard. That's right. In other words, it was pure coincidence that the witness saw the crime taking place before her own eyes. There was no complicated setup in this case. It certainly seems to be true. There's indeed only one problem with this testimony. If I can clearly point out what it is, then I can begin to quantify just how good this witness's memory and observation skills are. You don't mind the whip, yeah? Pretty easy first one. Witnesses have to undergo their own trials, I'm afraid. The defendant's fate rests on their powers of observation and memory, after all. Well, don't worry. I'm more than up to the task. I'm a woman of faith, after all, the head honcho of Hazakura Temple. In that case, Miss Honcho, I'd like you to explain something for me. The discrepancy between your testimony and that of the defendant, Iris. She claims that after ringing the lights out bell, she went back and stayed in her room. Which means she did not go to the inner temple at all. No, she said that? A defendant or a witness? Who's more likely to lie, do you suppose? The defendant is simply lying to cover her back. But that is completely illogical. The murder was committed in the courtyard of Hazakura Temple. Claiming that she went to the inner temple would make for a much better alibi. But that is odd. Whatever the reason, I can't believe that she would lie. She does indeed have honest eyes. Ah! All people lie. That is my belief. Why am I the only one being whipped in here? Anyway, neither the witness nor the defendant have any reason to lie. Which means, I must call your memory into question. Dear, dear, dear. You're older than me and yet you want to play that game, do you? Ah, well, this isn't exactly what I... My memory is perfect, crystal clear, especially in the winter. Then I suppose it's too early to end this cross-examination, eh? Mr. Edgeworth, if you're going to question the memory of this witness, you'll need to show a more decisive piece of evidence. Understood, Your Honor. I was naive to think that alone would do the trick. And please add your comment to the testimony of Boot Iris. And let's return to the cross-examination. Then I was helping an acolyte... Okay. Iris came to the inner temple. She was dressed exactly as she had been at dinner.
Hold it!
Are you sure that you're not making a mistake? You, young man, need to get your estimation of me up from the floor. Iris always wears the same clothes. The smallest thing out of place would have stood out like a sore thumb to me. You're making a mistake, thinking I made a mistake. An excellent finish there, witness. Still, I have to wonder. Iris came to the inner temple dressed exactly as she had been at dinner. That's not true. She gave her hood to Phoenix before ringing the lights out bell.
Objection!
Witness, let's get one thing straight. The defendant who you claim to have met, she was wearing this demon warding hood, correct? Of course. That's a very important piece of clothing, I'll have you know. Wait a minute.
Objection!
Hold it right there. Why do you have that? That's the question of the day now, isn't it, Miss Von Karma? I'll have you know that this hood was given to someone as a gift that night, before the lights out bell was even rung. What? You know where I'm going with this, don't you? If the witness had seen the defendant as she claims, then the iris she saw should have... Then the iris she saw should have been wearing this Then the iris she saw should have been missing this very hood. Well! And look how small she is. Not a bad feeling at all, exposing contradictions like this. Now I understand that happy look on Wright's face every time he does it. Order in the court! Witness, a response. Ugh! Sister. This hood, you have spare ones around the temple, don't you? Spares? Well, I do tend to make too many of them. I see, a stockpile. Surplus of hoods, eh? Each nun is only given one hood. This should be the only hood that Iris owned. This is quite strange. Ah! If there's a surplus of hoods, then she could have worn one of those. There's no contradiction here. Sorry to break this to you, Miss Von Karma, but you won't get away that easily. Discrepancies such as this will sow seeds in any human heart. The seeds of doubt. Witness, while I don't wish to call your testimony into doubt, you must give very detailed precision. I'm not sure I'm comfortable going along with this now. Sister, you shall continue with your testimony. Tell us what you saw after finishing your bath on your way back to the inner temple. The seeds of doubt are sprouting in the judge's heart. They just need to bear a little more stimulation. They just need a little more stimulation to bear fruit. Contradictory stimulation. Anal stimulation. After my bath. I finished my bath around 11, and I thought I should return to the inner temple. And as I was walking back, I heard a noise from the courtyard. I took a look, and Iris was... Oh, Mystic Elise. And with that sword of all things... Mystic Elise was staying in the corner room, which faces out onto the courtyard. The stabbing I saw must have occurred after she was pushed out of her window. You saw a truly terrible sight, didn't you? If I was in your place, then it would be much like Miss Von Karma whipping Mr. Edgeworth in court. And me seeing it all from this very chair. Well, something like that. Oh, that's a reference to something that Edgeworth, or Gumshoe said yesterday. This judge. His imagination is about as vivid and creative as Detective Gumshoe. I would look the fool if I commented on such foolishness. Anyway, this case is mine, Miles Edgeworth. Calling everyone by their full name. Can't you do something about that habit of yours?
Hold it!
How far is it from your room to the inner temple? Let me think for a moment. About 20 minutes on these stumps of mine. About 15 minutes to Dusky Bridge from Hazakura Temple. The inner temple is just beyond the bridge. Still, you never made it back there that night, did you? That's right. I was heading along the walkway to the main hall. And as I was walking back, I heard a noise from the courtyard. I took a look and... Why am I reading that again? You say you heard a noise. Thump! Just like that. That could only be the sound of the victim falling. It's very quiet in the temple, you know? You can even hear the snow falling from the branches. Thump! Just like that. But then, couldn't this noise you've heard have been snow falling to the ground? Never thought of that. Next one to laugh gets a whipping. Well, whatever the source of the sound, I looked over at the courtyard and...
Hold it!
This is the second time the witness has testified to seeing the defendant. But some doubt remains in these claims. Hey, just what does that mean? Just because you're a good-looking young man doesn't give you the right to... The murderer stabbed the victim with a sword. Sister Bikini, try to recall exactly who it was you saw, as clearly as you can. Well, you're a handsome young man, so I'll forgive you. Oh, now that you mention it, there was something awfully strange about her. Something that's been bugging me all this time. Please don't keep us in suspense. Her hood. Her hood? That's right. It's coming back to me. Iris, she wasn't wearing her hood at the time. I thought something was out of place, but it all makes sense now, doesn't it? After all, she'd given that hood away to someone, right? You dug your own grave, Miles Edgeworth. What do you say, Mr. Edgeworth? Is this testimony important? This may initially appear to put me at a disadvantage, but I can't see any other leads at the moment. Your Honor, I would like these new statements to be added to the testimony. Miles Edgeworth. If you want to hang yourself, you need only ask. I'll gladly lend you my whip. Witness, add that statement to your testimony. No problem. Now that you mention it, Iris didn't have her hood on.
Hold it!
You're sure about that? Yes, after all, we always wear the same clothes. I didn't mean because we're poor, you understand. It's our style. Yeah, that's it. There's absolutely no need to explain yourself. Anyway, she looked different from normal, so that really stuck out. Like me holding a whippet puppy instead of my whip. At least then it might bite you and not someone else. Iris didn't have her hood on, I'm sure of it. Very well, now please tell us about the victim, eh?
Hold it!
The room the victim was staying in overlooked the courtyard, correct? Which means the victim's room was on the second floor? No, Hazakura Temple's a single-story building, but the mountain itself slopes downward, which elevates the main temple gate side, of the temple and the guest rooms in the back, to about the height of a two-story building. I see, and the victim was staying in one of those elevated rooms, correct? Yes, I should know. I'm the one who carried her things to her room, after all.
Hold it!
What makes you so sure of all this? It's just like I told you earlier. I heard a noise from the courtyard, okay? Thump, just like that. You're one smart sister, I'll give you that. The autopsy report states that the victim's body was covered in bruises, indicating a fall from about around 10 feet in height. Appears the witness was not mistaken then. Yep, I'm more than just a pretty face, especially in winter. I'm a woman of faith, after all, the head honcho of Hazakura Temple. There's only 2 of them working there. What's wrong, Miles Edgeworth? No snappy comeback remark? Doesn't feel like she's lying. This is very powerful testimony, too. She claims to have seen the instant in which the defendant stabbed the victim. There are only two things I can believe in right now. My client Iris and my own abilities as a defense attorney. Iris didn't have her hood on. I don't know where to go with this one.
Hold it!
Oh, nothing changes there. Okay. My mentor, Manfred von Karma's daughter, born and raised in Germany, prosecutor at 13. She's only 19 years old. Huh. I didn't figure that would work. Your Honor, what do you think of the witness's statement? I don't think there's a problem with it. You say that with such gusto that I suppose I must agree that there is all there is to it. Don't get smart with me. Get smart with this penalty. It would appear that even I can make mistakes. I don't know. Oh, you know when you yawn and like you pull the muscle on the side of your jaw and you just feel like a heavy, sharp pain on under your chin? Ugh. That just happened. Fuck. Stab in the back.
Hold it!
Something that I'm missing?
Hold it! Hold it! Hold it!
Maybe there's another thing in the earlier statement?
Hold it!
Seems like I believe in Iris, so I have to believe her testimony somewhere.
Hold it!
Time for a clue? Okay, it's not something press-related. Well, I saw about at 10 p.m. was oh man, I'm sorry, I'm yawning. And was then in her room until the murder was discovered. I just didn't have her hood on. Should be this one, right?
Objection!
Oh, that wasn't it. Wasn't the weather data either. Let's rewind that. Shoot. Yeah, I forgot this. Like, I don't know. Frig. I don't know. I hate when you get that one testimony where it's like impossible to actually figure out what it is.
Hold it!
If she wasn't wearing her hood, then like... I would think it's no. That's the... That wasn't it. I don't know. Sword on that? No. Just taking pot shots now till I get it. The game may be misleading me. Yeah. Staying in the corner room which faces into the courtyard. Stabbing must have occurred after she was pushed out of her window. Okay, I took a guess there and it was right. impressive logic. That's what I'd like to say, anyway. Oh, please do. My brain is something else, especially in winter. Tell me that was misleading me was the right choice, though. That was just enough of a hint for me to think, like, okay, let it go. Do something else instead. Like Kieran, I'm letting it go. However, I think you're overlooking one thing. Miss Von Karma, would you be so kind as to take another look at the autopsy report? The autopsy report? The victim did fall from a height of 10 feet. However, this fall was after she was killed. Ah! That's right, it says after death right here. The scene the witness claims to have seen is contradictory. The defendant stabbed and killed the victim there in the courtyard. How did the victim then go and take a 10-foot fall? Ah! Order, order! The victim was killed and then fell. That's the case. And the victim must have been killed in her room, don't you agree? That is the logical conclusion. Yes, that's right. The victim must have been stabbed by the defendant in her own room. And then she was thrown out of her window down into the courtyard below. Were there any signs of... Oh, that was a sneeze. Were there any signs of a struggle in Miss Stonehim's room? She was stabbed with a sword. That would have left a blood stain, wouldn't you agree? Well, Miss Von Karma, was there any blood? Ah! No traces of blood were found in the victim's room. Lookers just caused traces of blood to be found on my glorious playoff beard. However, if there was no blood in the room, then your claim that... Ah! I'm sure there's no need for me to go over this, as I'm sure your honor is well aware of when a stab wound produces the most blood. When it produces the most blood, eh? Very little blood is actually lost at the moment of a blade's insertion. If you want to talk about when the most blood would be lost from a body, that would be when the blade is removed. Indeed, with the weapon still in place, it acts like a lid on the wound. That's true. With the weapon still in the body, there wouldn't be much bleeding. A perfectly reasonable line of thinking. We've come to a conclusion, then. The victim was thrown out of the window with the sword still in place. This removes all of the contradictions. Order, order, order! I must admit that this is a probable version of events. I expect no less from Franziska von Karma. She locates and takes control of every vital point. It seems that we need clearer testimony from the witness. Remove all supposition from your part and tell us only the facts, please. Witness, please. Remain standing on the crate. Don't go selling me short now. The weight of winter snow has bent me out of shape. Especially my back and my mood. Sister, please, give us your testimony. I will give you a vigorous massage once we're finished here. With the whip? Oh boy, alright, alright. Further details. When I looked across at the scene, the sword was already in place. Thinking about it now, I didn't actually see her stab Mystic Elise. I've never seen so much blood before. That's when I fainted. You can't blame me, can you? And when I awoke, Mystic Ami was... stabbing Mystic Elise through the back. This all confirms Miss Karma's theory. Von Karma strive for nothing but perfection. Putting together such facts is nothing for me. You should know that, Miles Edgeworth. Perfection is an impossibility, Franziska von Karma, and I'm here to teach you just that. At that time, was the victim bleeding? Well, I was very shocked to be seeing all this, of course, so I'm not entirely sure. But I don't think I saw any blood, not then. I'm sure that you didn't. The weapon was acting as a plug in the wound. In any case, let's be clear on one very important point. Did you actually see the instant in which the victim was stabbed? Think carefully, this is very important. It's Iris we're talking about here. I'm thinking for all I'm worth. No, when I looked over, the sword was already in Mystic Elise's body. Might not be conclusive, but this testimony supports her theory. The victim was stabbed in a room and then dropped into the courtyard. I think this proves it rather well, Miles Edgeworth.
Hold it!
So you're saying that you saw the victim's blood? That's right. Some of it had splattered onto Iris, too. When the defendant was arrested, she was meditating in her room, and her blood-flecked clothing was neatly folded in the corner. What? Her clothes were blood-flecked as well. This seems quite conclusive to me. What should I do? Press the point further? Going back to your previous statement, you said you saw a little bleeding when the victim was stabbed. But now, you're saying you saw the victim bleeding. Well, I say that's what I saw is what I saw. What did you see? Maybe I didn't see the poor woman get stabbed, but I saw the girl pull out the sword of her, plain as day. Pulling the sword out? Well, it wasn't exactly pulling, more like it came out. Witness, you'll add this statement to your testimony. Oh, was that important? More important than you can imagine. I saw the instant which the blade, plunged into the hilt, was smoothly drawn out.
Hold it!
Smoothly, you say? You're saying this? You saw the sword smoothly slide out. That's right, the whole thing happened right next to the gold statue of Mr. Kami. Mystic Elise was on the ground and Iris was stooped over her. The sword was buried up to the hilt. When Iris stood up, the sword in her hand just slid out of Mystic Elise's body. It slid out from that gaping wound. Goes without saying that if the sword was removed, there would be bleeding. Nothing out of place here. Is that really the case? Can't help but feel there's something about this testimony is very out of place. That something which couldn't have possibly happened appears to have happened.
Objection!
Sister Bikini, you're a reliable witness. At least, I'd like to think so, but there are too many contradictions here. What do you mean? You make it sound as though I'm a liar. But you're a handsome man, so I'll forgive you. What contradictions are you talking about? In the scene that the witness claims to have seen, the weapon was thrust up to the hilt onto the victim. Furthermore, the killer withdrew the weapon smoothly from the body. However, both of these are complete impossibilities. What do you mean? Please explain. Explain yourself. To start with, do you think it would be possible to stab someone to the hilt with this? No matter how I look at the defendant, she doesn't appear strong enough for that.
Objection!
Doesn't appear? What meaningless dribble. I, too, may appear to be weak and frail. But I can crush men under my heel and make them weep, should I so choose. The objection stands. I wept a little back there, I must admit.
Objection!
That isn't the only issue here. If this sword was truly stabbed into the body up to the hilt, well, just look at the branches on it. It certainly wouldn't come out smoothly. That's... We also have the problem of the amount of bleeding. It's sure that when a blade is plunged into a body, it acts as sort of a plug. However, when the weapon is shaped like this, it's an entirely different story. The wound would be too large for the blade to completely stop the bleeding.
Objection!
That's nothing more than conjecture. In reality, the victim was stabbed with the Shishishito. Even a weapon of this nature may still sometimes slide out smoothly, and may still sometimes stop the blood loss.
Objection!
I'm not finished. There's still one more conclusive contradiction. You've still got more? This is one as simple. If the sword really was thrust in all the way to the hilt, Shishishito, why is there only blood on the tip of it? If this witness is telling the truth, then there should be blood along the entire length of the sword. No! Order! Bravo, Miles Edgeworth. Raising this many contradictions from a single piece of evidence. All the other attorneys I know can maybe manage one, if that. What does this all mean? You've proven contradictions regarding the murder weapon, but... having come this far, there can be only one answer. And that is... the weapon used to kill the victim was not the Shishishito. What? A foolish idea born from the foolish mind of a already foolish fool. Let's examine this again. What was it that made us think the sword was the murder weapon? Well, it's because Mystic Ami was holding it. Exactly. However, if we reflect on this, this is the only basis we have to assume such a thing. The impression left by the scene was just too strong. That is what influenced us. It influenced us to believe that the Shishishito was the murder weapon. Order! So the Shichishito was not the murder weapon. Even if that's the case, it changes nothing, Miles Edgeworth. The sister here saw everything. She saw the defendant stab the victim with a sword-like object. That's true. Your response, Mr. Edgeworth? If that is so, I would like the prosecution to answer the obvious question it raises. The obvious question? Yes, namely, where did the real murder weapon disappear to? It goes without saying that the police searched the main hall and the surrounding area. Perhaps the prosecution can enlighten us Perhaps the prosecution can enlighten us as to if a sword-like object was found. That's the question, Miss Von Karma. No evidence of that kind was found. Another mystery to throw onto the pile. A trial without a murder weapon is a tricky beast. Excuse me, can I say something? I just remembered something, actually. What is it, sister? I was just thinking, it's possible that just maybe what actually happened was, it was just over there. What exactly are you going on about here? The murder weapon, I mean. Maybe. I think I might know where the sword was disposed of. You what? Someone's dead after that. Well then. I think we need to hear testimony from you once more, sister. Impossible. What else could this old woman have seen? Location of the weapon. I saw the murder around 11 p.m. and after asking that it be reported, I went out to the main gate, and there I saw tracks that indicated the snowmobile had been used. It takes 15 minutes to walk to Dusky Bridge, but less than 5 using one of those. Maybe they threw the weapon into Eagle River and came back while I was knocked out. Iris could have done that. She can drive a snowmobile after all. Witness, please tell us everything you know right away next time. Well, I'm not in the best of shape. Well, my back and my age, you know. Quite. There were indeed some There were indeed some snowmobile tracks in front of the main gate. Here is a photograph. That fence isn't there when you're actually in the area. A snowmobile, eh? See, well, it certainly is an interesting theory. The tracks begin in front of Hazakura Temple and run all the way to Dusky Bridge. Taken that night from the main gate to Dusky Bridge. Tracks photo. That solves your pesky little problem, yes? The Eagle River's current is quite swift, meaning that it doesn't freeze over in the winter, making it the perfect place to dispose of the murder weapon. Did she really go to the river to dispose of the murder weapon? Mr. Edgeworth, your cross-examination, please. I saw the murder around 11... Okay, why am I doing that? I always do that. You're sure about the time? Yes, I was worried about it after all. Why was that? Because I have a strong sense of responsibility, especially at this time of year. The Acolyte was being doused in freezing water at the time. Couldn't very well take it easy in the bath all night, could I? So at 11, I decided to leave Hazakura Temple. Our estimation of the time seems reliable, at least. Please continue, sister. You asked Phoenix Wright to report the crime, correct? Right, the one who trampled me. Seems she's the type to hold a grudge. There isn't a phone in the main hall, so I sent him to the bridge. Phoenix Wright, he didn't even have his cell phone on him. He had forgotten it at home, apparently. What a naive boy, as always. Not only do I always carry my phone, but I always have my whip in hand, too. Anyway, I was really scared, and I was talking to him, it was taking him a while to get back. So I thought I'd go out by the main gate for a spell. And there I saw the tracks.
Hold it!
As I recall, there was a snowmobile outside the main gate when I visited. That's it. That's the only one we have. It'll run no matter how much snow falls. Now, you're certain the snowmobile was there at the main gate when you arrived, correct? Yes, of course. It was parked in front of the gate. So she had already gone, discarded the murder weapon, and returned by that time. Not really sure if this is relevant. So what should I do? I need answers to every possible doubt. The snowmobile in question, was it still warm at the time? Huh? What do you mean? What do you mean? What do you mean, eh? What do you mean, Miles Edgeworth? I'm playing to a slow crowd here. It goes without saying that using a snowmobile will heat its engine. If it was still warm, then it means it was recently used. I see, never thought of that. That's right, I overlooked that too. Of course you did. And answer the question, please, witness. I don't go around touching hot engines often. However, now that you mention it, there wasn't any snow on it. Snow? Yes, for some reason only the snowmobile wasn't covered in snow. There wasn't any snow on it? Curses. Seems highly likely the killer did use the snowmobile then, eh? How long does it take to get to Dusky Bridge by snowmobile?
Hold it!
In that case, why'd you use it yourself? You could have spared yourself some walking. Ah, there's a reason for that. Have you got a moment for me to explain? Blah, 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 blah. That's why the question was being asked in the first place. It was about a month ago. I was driving my beloved little snowmobile, happy as could be. I fetched some water when I was heading back, and I went and crashed into a tree. The tree and my back both went crunch, just like that. Crunch. Crunch. I haven't been able to find the courage to ride anything since then. Anyway, the killer must have used it. No crunch. I hear that sound again. It sounded like the coffee drinking noise. Yeah, it's Godot's coffee drinking noise. Crunch. So crunch like fuck. Other hand. Damn it, I already cracked my knuckles. I can't crunch. No crunch. Okay, no crunch. Tiny crunch.
Hold it!
No Captain Crunch. I'm eating Raisin Bran right now. I've been eating it for a while, actually, now that I think about it. Ever since I brought it... No, back when I was playing Tears of the Kingdom, I brought up Rice Krispies, and then I ate that for like a few weeks, and then I switched to Raisin Bran. Because I was just like, I'm in the mood for more bland cereal. What is that? Oh my god, is that a Mike emote? Yep, cringe. Oh, of course, it's cringe. Fresh our memory, how long were you knocked out for? Like I said, somewhere between 10 and 20 minutes. It's possible to get back to the bridge and back in 10 minutes using the snowmobile. Have to concede that is more than enough time. Is that all you wish to concede, Miles Edgeworth? Raisin Bran's good.
Hold it!
While it would be possible, time-wise, one element remains out of place here. Oh, and what would that mystery element be? The killer's reasoning, Your Honor. Why did the killer do all of this? Why go to the Eagle River to dispose of the murder weapon when there are other methods? Too many unanswered questions. Your response, Miss Von Karma. I noticed, but I didn't expect you to actually like Raisin Bran. Oh, I love Raisin Bran. Raisins, bran, that's delicious. A little milk in it. Ah! Turning to me for the help of the slightest thing. Why don't you think for yourself once in a while, Your Honor? What? She's as over the top as always. Anyway, whatever the reason, the fact remains the defendant could have done this. The murder weapon was disposed of in the river. Another point to me, Miles Edgeworth. Another mystery to feed the fire. Was there any reason to go and throw away the murder weapon? Luckily, there's surely a problem with this testimony. All I have to do is start poking holes into this flawed account. My Bran. Snowmobile. Huh. I have an inkling of what it might be, but I'm not sure. They went to Eagle River and came back while I was knocked out, but if you look at the photo, there's only one set of tracks. So, unless they rode over the exact same spot. Not exactly like raisins in the bran because of how stiff they are compared to a fresh box of some, but whatever, still good. Yeah, no, I agree. Raisins in Raisin Bran are very tough. That's why you have to put milk on them. You have to soften them up. Rehydrate them a little bit, like Ganondorf. Nailed it! Knew it. Knew that was gonna be right. I admit this photograph proves something. It proves that the snowmobile was used on the night of the murder. You finally accepted the inevitable, it seems, Miles Edgeworth. However, if what the witness says is true, then why is there only one set of tracks? What do you mean? Iris left Hazakura Temple, threw the weapon in the river, and then returned. If this was the case, then naturally there should be two sets of tracks in the snow. Those from heading out in the bridge and those from coming back. It's good when bran is heated up a little bit in the milk. Oh, I never tried that. I'm not a big fan of this, like, plain warm milk. I've never tried doing that with cereal before. It might be good. Hot cereal soup. Ah, you're right. You're forgetting one thing, Miles Edgeworth. On the night of the murder, it was snowing. The tracks leading to the bridge were erased by the snowfall. This removes your precious contradiction now, doesn't it? I see. While she was at the river, the snow stopped, leaving just the snow tracks on the return. What do you have to say now, Miles Edgeworth? Is there a flaw in her theory? This idea that the snow covered one set of tracks. There is a contradiction. The tracks to the river were covered by snow. What a nice theory. However, Miss Von Karma, that is impossible. Would you care to explain why there is a rude index finger currently pointed in my general direction? No need. The evidence will do all the talking for me. On the night of the murder, the killer went to and returned from Jusky Bridge. In order to dispose of the murder weapon, the outgoing tracks were erased by the snow. Or so claims Miss Von Karma. Mr. Edgeworth, present your evidence to the contrary, eh? Evidence that the outgoing tracks were not covered by the snow. Snow until approximately 10:50. If the murder, if Iris saw, or sorry, if Bikini saw the murder happen at 11, then the snow would have already stopped at that point.
Take that!
Witness, please tell us again what time is it when you witnessed the crime. Like I said, it was around 11. Of course, that means the weapon was thrown away after that time, correct? On that note, please take a look at this weather data. It's a report for Eagle Mountain on the night of the murder. The weather report? Snow started to fall at 7 p.m., but it stopped around 10:50. Therefore, when the sister witnessed the crime at 11 p.m., the snow had already stopped falling. It's simply impossible for any tracks made after that time to have been covered up. Ah! Order, order. Very well then. Looks like Miss Von Karma's claim has been snowed in. Ah! It's too soon to be closing this trial due to snow. Miles Edgeworth, how pathetic of you to rely on the weather of all things. Answer me this, then. When is a weather report ever correct? Ah, no, you got it all wrong. This isn't a forecast, this is actual data. Ugh. Forecast data, all weather reports have some inaccuracies. May have still been snowing in the vicinity well past 11 p.m. It's true, we cannot be totally sure, eh? What? How did she pull that off? It had stopped snowing at Hazakura Temple when the murder took place. You need to provide conclusive evidence of this. Come this far, there's no turning back now. Very well. I too cannot allow any doubt to remain concerning this Chachaboda party. Ha! Can't back down now, can you? Such a perfectionist, Miles Edgeworth. Very well then, Mr. Edgeworth. Where's your evidence that it already stopped snowing when the victim was killed? There's no snow in Elise. And there's snow and everything else in the area.
Take that!
Ultimately, it all comes down to one point. That being, whether or not it was snowing in that courtyard when the victim was stabbed. That's right, but proving that is incredibly easy. If we want to know whether it was snowing or not, this photo will tell us everything. Of course, I'm referring to the photo of the crime scene. As you can see, everything is covered with snow, with just one exception. And that is... the victim herself, Miss Elise Donim. Why is there no snow on top of her? The answer is simple. It stopped snowing when she was killed, that's why. In other words, if the killer really did go to Eagle River to dispose of the murder weapon, then in this photograph there should be 2 sets of tracks. Ah! Order, just what are you... Just what are you suggesting, Miles Edgeworth? To be honest, I'm not entirely sure myself, but this is simply what all the facts point to. That night, someone used a snowmobile to leave Hazakura Temple. When the tracks left, it could be understood that they were heading for Dusky Bridge. At that time, it was still snowing. Of course it was, because those tracks were erased by the snow. Then, when this person returned to Hazakura Temple, the snow had stopped, thus the return tracks remained. I think I'll get intense ringing in my ears. Can I say something? This all sounds a bit fishy to me. What does, sister? There's only one key for the snowmobile. Furthermore, on the night of question, we know the defendant had it. The key was found in her room after the murder. Which, that can only mean that night, Iris used the snowmobile to go to the inner temple. But Iris said she never went there. I should probably press on this point some more when I get the chance. The snowmobile can't cross the suspension bridge. So she must have left it on the Hazakura side of the bridge and crossed on foot. That sounds right. But what's odd is when I left Iris and returned to the Hazakura Temple, I didn't see anything near Dusky Bridge. You must have just failed to see it, sister. Maybe, but when I made it back to Hazakura Temple, it was right there by the main gate. The snowmobile, I mean. I know what I saw. It was covered in snow, too. But that isn't possible. Order in the court. What does this all mean? So then what was the snowmobile used for? It wasn't taken by the defendant when she went to the inner temple. If it had been, then the witness couldn't possibly have seen it by the gate. Furthermore, it wasn't used by the killer to dispose of the murder weapon. If that was the case, there should be 2 sets of tracks in this photo. All we know is this. After it stopped snowing, someone used the snowmobile to return to Hazakura Temple. Never thought a simple snowmobile could cause this much trouble. I think we've learned all we can from this witness. Yes, I've nothing more to add. I've told you everything that I know. But then, that still leaves us with the same problem. If only there was someone, a witness who could testify to having seen the snowmobile. A witness, huh? Was there no one out walking perhaps near Dusky Bridge on that night? I don't think that's likely. It was cold enough to freeze your ears off. Only an idiot would go around wandering in that. Unless they had something really important to do. That's a shame. Hold on, something is coming to me. An idiot may well have been wandering around on that subarctic night. Your Honor, actually, there might be just there just might be one individual who may be of help to us. Really? You know of someone who might have seen the snowmobile on that night of the murder? I don't know for sure if he saw it or not, but there are 2 things about him that do come to mind. Which are? First, that he saw something incredible on the night of the murder. And the second being, this individual that I'm thinking of went wandering outside on that cold night. In other words, he's our kind of idiot. Mr. Edgeworth, who on earth are you who is this idiot you're talking about? This guy must be the product of Jean-Luc Deleduc's Guide to Obnoxious French Painting. This is Larry Butts, a disciple of the victim, Elise Donim. Probably mispronounced that in the last line. A student, interesting. Why was he wandering about outside on the night of the murder? That's... I could tell him all about his designs for Iris, but it may cost us his credibility as a witness before I even call him. He is, after all, an artist. He was perhaps searching for something in this snowy scenery that would move him, although I cannot guarantee that this is the reason. And so, this unfortunate, unreliable-looking man, what exactly was it he saw? I intend to extract that from him right here in this courtroom. We're at 10 hours of stream between today and yesterday. Pretty good. That's over a stream extra. Summon this youth as a witness immediately. I have no choice, do I? I believe he's in the gallery for this trial. It will not take long to summon him. Very well, Larry. You may have escaped me yesterday, but today I'm going to get everything out of you. The court will now adjourn for a 20-minute break. Miss Von Karma, please see to preparing the next witness. Understood, Your Honor. Good. Well then, court is now in recess. If this is to be continued, yeah, it is. So I know it's only been like an hour of this, but Pokemon went long. I'm going to call it here. Because it's 3:40 and I want to make something to eat before I go to bed. Because I'm like really, really hungry. We'll get back in the courtroom and then I'll save. February 9th, 11:15 a.m. District Court, Defendant Lobby number 1. Excuse me, Mr. Edgeworth? I'm not really sure what to say. I mean, Iris, we only have 20 minutes. I was gonna say, even if I kept streaming, I would only go for another 20 minutes anyway, so we'd be making almost no progress here. Iris, we only have 20 minutes. There are 2 things I need to ask you before we can reconvene. Alright, I'll help you in any way I can. First, about that night. You really didn't go to the Inner Temple, correct? The last witness claims to have met and talked with you in the training hall. Either you or Sister Bikini is lying. Mr. Edgeworth, it is just as I said yesterday. Until the incident occurred, I was in my own room in Hazakura Temple. Very well. The second thing, then. That night, the temple snowmobile that was used in between the times Sister Bikini returned to the main hall and when she bore witness to the murder. Sometime between 10:30 and 11 p.m. that night. Were you the one who used the snowmobile? There's only one key for the snowmobile. The only person who could have used it was me. So it was you. But why? What made you go out to Dusky Bridge? I'm sorry, Mr. Edgeworth. Another secret? Oh, and that's 5 locks, too. Iris. I can't tell you about that yet. Yet. Not until her safety is confirmed. Her. The safety of the Acolyte. The Acolyte, huh? She must be talking about Maya Fey. It's really interesting that Edgeworth gets 2 Psyche locks that you just never break. Because those never come up again. I don't think you actually don't break those. Like, it's implied that, like, you could just break them in court by, like, naturally interrogating people, but he actually straight up gets 2 that show up that you don't break. That only happens once later in the series as well. Well, twice, technically, but one of them is actually never brought up again. Iris, look me in the eye and tell me the truth. Did you kill Elise Donim? No matter who or what may come, I could never take a life. As I thought, no psycho locks. Very well. It is my job to get the truth. I think the joke is that psycho locks are what they're called in Japanese, and psyche locks are what they're called in English. So Edgeworth calling them psycho locks is actually kind of a funny throwback. Funny localization riff, I guess. It is my job to get to the truth. You'll discover this for yourself soon enough. Okay. Yeah, well, now it's 3:43, so I was going to stop in like less than 10 minutes anyway. February 9th, 11:36 a.m., District Court, Courtroom number 7. I think it's Psychonauts when I read it. Alright, that's another Ace Attorney stream in the bag. We're getting close to the end. Almost. Still got another whole day of it to go, and another half a trial there as well. So, we'll continue this next week. Pokemon, I'll do some stuff offline, and then before the final update comes back, we'll work on that. When I finish Phoenix Wright, if there's time before I go back to Pokemon, I will probably... I don't know if I'll start Danganronpa, just because it's a long game. I might wait now and see what the January landscape's gonna look like. But, Ace Attorney Trilogy, Apollo Justice comes out next month. I will not be playing that right away. I'll be getting it, but I won't be playing it yet, because I'm gonna do the Edgeworth games first. Another Code collection does come out next month, though, and I will probably play at least the first game on stream, because it's short. So we'll see. I'm thinking maybe do Sonic Sonic Superstar since I've been waiting for it, though. One thing to say, though, pee-pee poo-poo. Don't think it, don't say it. The pee-pee poo-poo man, he'll come after you. But yeah, so, with that note being said, I just want to say that today is, in fact, the last stream of the year. I will not be here tomorrow, Saturday, Sunday. I won't even be here New Year's Day, probably. So the next stream is probably going to be January 2nd. It's going to be a little wait from now. So I'm sorry if you're like waiting for this to end. If you're waiting for this game to come to its conclusion. I promise I want to stream this. I just don't have the availability. With that being said, you know, thank you all for coming. As always, we got all the regulars here, and that's great. I want you all to have a great new year. Thanks for the feed emojis, Karma. I want you all to have a great new year. I want you to celebrate it, you know, with your friends and family if you can. If you can't, then I hope you could find your own way to enjoy it. This year has been kind of a ride, to say the least. It's been filled with a lot of good times, a lot of miserable times, and probably one of the hardest times of my entire life. And streaming to you guys every evening, not every evening, but a lot of evenings, definitely helped deal with a lot of the pain that came earlier this year. And because of that, you know, I just want you to know that you should, before the year ends, you know, go talk to the people you care about most and tell them how you feel. And maybe spend time with them, and maybe see if they need help with anything. You know, just, yeah, just check up on people. Make sure people are okay. Even if people seem fine, just, you know, tell them how you feel. Say hi to them. Make sure that you know, keep in touch with people while you can. Because you never know when that's not going to be possible anymore. And, yeah. That's all I really have to say regarding this year in general. So, you know, thank you so much for coming. If you want to watch more streams, check out my Twitch page. There's plenty of suggested streamers right there. Breeze is still doing their subathon, but she's asleep again because she sleeps at this time of day, which is unfortunate. I would love to give her a raid, but like just never. Oh, Izzy Fat Cat is streaming art. Let's give them a raid. They do good arts, and also they've come to my stream a bunch of times. My Ace Attorney streams too. Also, thank you for the hug. So thank you very much for coming by. Have a great New Year, everyone. Say hi to Izzy. Oh, Izzy does not have raid settings on. Never mind. Cannot raid her. Alright then. Fuck. Well, that ruined the end of the year thing. Eclipse Protocol's playing Lethal Company. Let's give them a raid. Have I raided them recently? My end of year thing is just my end of year thing has been ruined. Alright. For real though. Stick around, say hi to Eclipse Protocol. Have a great evening, take care. I'll see you next year, next week, whenever. We'll finish Ace Attorney and we'll do other stuff too. Have a good night, everyone. Happy New Year.